Okay, we are live. Everybody, my name is Bezad.
My name is Teresa.
And this is...
Sonali the Cat.
That's right, and we are broadcasting live from Yokohama, Japan, to bring to you the world's premier live stream, the Wonder Looper live stream. Welcome, everybody. It is Saturday, May the 10th here in Japan, Friday, May the 9th. For many of you out there in the West, welcome, everybody. Let us know where you are checking in from. What are you wearing today? We've got an action-packed live stream today filled with figures. We've got numbers. We've got facts. Something like that to go over because we're going to be talking about Super Looper sweat shorts versus sweatpants. The decision is going to be made, maybe not today, maybe not right now, but we're going to make it together. And we're going to go through the survey that has infiltrated the universe.
Right. And if you haven't answered it, you can still answer it, whereas the results we're going to be looking at will be live, correct?
Right. We're going to look at the live results. I'm going to, maybe I can do it right now. Can I do it right now? Maybe I could do it right now. I'm going to put the link to the survey in the description of this video. I think I can edit it right now. Let's see if I can do that without altering anything. Perhaps we're still going to be live. Maybe I'm going to screw something up. I don't know. But I'm going to put this right here in the description. So if you're watching now, in the description of the video, we've got the survey. Answer the survey. And then, okay. Answer the survey, sweatpants vs. sweat shorts. We want to hear from you. Okay. Now that is done, let's go back to my main screen, my broadcasting screen. I think we're good. I didn't screw anything up, hopefully. Did I screw anything up? Was I live? Did I screw up while I left the thing? I don't know. You guys are going to have to tell me. Just entered my choices. Mr. Beatty says, all right, fantastic. Okay, let's check in with the chat. Okay. Cam X tuning in from Calgary, Alberta. I went with sweatpants on the poll since you could always get them hemmed if you really want the shorts.
Right. Just as a caveat to that, though, the current sweat shorts fit is not the same as the top block of the sweatpants fit. Shorts are a little bit looser in the hips.
Okay. So there is a little bit of a difference there.
So like when you shorten the sweatpants, it will be skinnier in the hip to thigh
ratio
area.
Yeah.
Well, not ratio, just the whole entire. The waist I think is the same, but anything below will be roomier in shorts and original shorts, and less roomy if you hem
the sweatpants.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. Steven Kopelkamp says, would the Super Looper sweatpants have elastic at the bottom? No, that is not the plan. Although that is definitely something people have either asked, either like elastic bottom or like a stringed bottom. We haven't made a final decision on that. I'm still leaning open bottom, but I hear you guys. Maybe this is another survey for another day.
Right. And another thing is that, I don't know. I like elastic bottoms, but with the, double heavyweight,
it might be too thick.
Too thick. And, we just don't want to keep making different fits for different fabrics.
Yeah, I like to keep things pretty simple and consistent throughout the line.
Yes. Yeah. So there's no surprise for the customers, mostly.
Veal Don Pepe says, elastic bottom, please. Okay, perhaps this is a survey for the future.
Yes. And we talked about it in the past, and I still haven't done it, but I was contemplating adding an elastic at the hem. There's a space when you fold over, elastic string in there to see how that would work. Haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
But
right. The Moore says the strings at the ankle will allow for a choice, gathered or straighto.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we're listening. I like that we've already moved on to another sweatpant topic. All right, let me just steer us back on to the road here. And we're talking sweatpants versus sweatshorts. I seem to believe that people are more interested in sweatpants than sweatshorts.
It's more versatile.
Yeah.
I understand. I just personally really like wearing my own sweatshirt shorts.
And I know we're going to disappoint some if we change it. But I think we're going to make more people happy if we change it. And that's
the point.
According to the survey.
Yes. So if you are non-vocal, minority in this case, maybe you're not a minority. You just have to vocalize your opinion.
Yeah, share your opinions. A pimp named Slickback says, why not both? The reason for why not both... Okay, let's start off with why not both before we get into the numbers.
Okay.
Why not both is simply a matter of we don't sell enough, right? Shorts are I think it was like 2% of our sales. Like we don't sell a lot of shorts. We just really don't. And it's nice to have them. But if we then make shorts and sweatpants, we're just kind of splitting. I will say that even sweatpants are a very sort of small percentage of the overall business. Like we sell way more sweatshirts than sweatpants.
Yeah, and in this case, we don't believe that it's gonna be like if we make 2 fits that we're gonna sell, like we're
not gonna
in addition to that's not gonna happen, especially for. Yeah, sweat bottoms. And, I honestly understand because sweatpants, sweat shorts, like in like neighborhood activity you can, wear it, but like you're not going out to work.
Yeah, the versatility is in the sweatshirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think people are more keen to spend money on the tops rather than, bottoms that you can only wear at home or just lounging around in the neighborhood. Yeah,
and I know the people who have them love them, but I think in general, it's like if I'm gonna invest, I want to get the maximum wear out of something. Now, of course, at some point you have a bunch of sweatshirts, and you're like, okay, then you can expand a little bit further. But as you can imagine, that is certainly a smaller piece of the pie compared to the sweatshirt sales. So
so we don't want to split that piece.
Yeah. So it makes it hard to have both, and
and the thing is, like every, the issue I think is that like, do we want to have more option in colors or more option in fits?
Yeah.
And because the sizes wise, like we're kind of committed to the 6 size, which is not a small number.
Right.
Some brands don't make 6 sizes.
Yeah.
Most brands actually don't make 6 sizes. And like with the what was I saying? With the
with the
what was I saying?
Colors.
Yes, with the colors, the option becomes like, say we were thinking of 7 colorways for Super Looper fabric. That is a lot.
Yeah.
And just with one fit, 7 colors, 6 sizes, that means the individual SKU, what we call it, it's going to be 42.
So yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
So that means that 42 times however many, fits that we're going to do, which is, one fit. Like, you can say that, you're just adding one fit, but you're actually adding 42 SKUs, which is a lot.
Right.
To manage, and that way like the production is going to be less efficient, and we're actually making people less happy because there's a limit to how much units we can stock.
Yeah. John Ake says adds up very quickly. Yeah, adding one option, because you have to multiply that out by the amount of colors and the amount of sizes. It just grows really big. And it's not like I can carry a dozen of one thing. I got to carry more than that. And then...
You got to make more than that.
Yeah. So That's right. John Egg says the best restaurants have the smallest menus. Yeah, it's better to be a little bit more, focused. And now, to be fair, we're offering a lot of colors, we're offering a lot of fits.
Right.
But we have to, even within that, we have to focus it a little bit. So adding both until we're at least, I know one day we're going to be apple-sized, but once we're at what can I say? The gap. Once we're at that gap level, okay, we'll have both. But between now and then, we still have a little bit of a way to climb.
Yeah.
So that's why. And I look, my heart, I want to make everybody happy. I want to make the whole world happy.
And I'm very heartbroken because I love sweatshorts.
Yeah.
But
But I
understand.
Yeah. The final decision hasn't been made yet. I'm just saying we're leaning sweatpants.
Leaning hard towards sweatpants.
Yeah. Melody Murray says, hello from sunny Los Angeles. Wearing my ELS Ecru recycled cotton slub shirt. I completed the sweat shorts versus sweatpants survey. Thank you for asking. Well, you are welcome. Okay, let's head over to le survey. Yeah. And that's French for the survey. Biggity bam. So this is as of a few moments ago, 307 responses. Super Looper shorts or sweatpants. Help us decide what to make next. So out of the respondents...
These live numbers?
These are live numbers.
Okay.
83% of you do not have shorts.
Mm-hmm.
All right? 53% of you do. And of those who do not have shorts, half of you not interested in shorts. Mm-hmm. We hear you. A quarter are in the yes and maybe category. So we've got about half of you, just in general, of the ones who don't have shorts are still mostly not interested. Okay. As you can see, I think we this is sort of easy to predict because based off our sales in general in shorts, we don't sell that many. So this part here is not a big surprise. All right. Would you be interested in Super Looper French Terry sweatpants if we made them? A big yes from most of the respondents. A big yes. Now, of course, there's still some no's in there, but a vast majority of you would be interested. And if you had a choice of only one, 75% of you say you would prefer the sweatpants. So as you can see, our gut was leaning one way. The responses are clearly leaning one way. And which are you more likely to buy? And you can see that slice of the pie is a very big for sweatpants. So I think the versatility of a sweatpant, makes them a little bit more popular. Shorts are mostly seasonal. And of course, you can wear them at home and things like that. But sweatpants also work the same way at home. And of course, if you are going out walking the dog, maybe on that flight, somewhere you want to be comfortable and cozy, the sweatpants do a great job. You can also roll the bottoms up. I think with the Super Looper fabric, because of the way it's drapey, it's not too heavy. You can wear them a little bit rolled up too. So that's where we're at right now, guys. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to leave this survey open for a little while longer, and we'll see how everything pans out. But we're going to make a decision. We'll probably have a decision by next live stream. I'm
unless there's some significant number of,
Yeah, and I'll know if you spam it. By the way, I'm just there's.
Oh, you can spam it?
Of course.
Okay.
You can definitely spam it. Hopefully this hasn't been spammed, but I don't think it has. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So let's see. How do you guys feel about that? How are you feeling about sweatpants versus sweatshorts? The survey says you feel good about sweatpants. Survey says Family Feud. Yeah, it's a good show. Boom. I don't have a funny quip.
Okay.
I wouldn't be a good host. Okay. David Paul says, do you intend on stocking sweatshirts year-round?
Sweatshirts?
Yeah.
We do. I mean, we make Super Looper in the spring. And
double heavyweight.
And other things.
And fleece fox fiber.
And other things for fall. I mean, obviously more emphasis on fall, but Super Looper is dedicated once a year for spring.
Yeah.
This year we kind of sold out before the summer hit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'll have more inventory next year. As we, every year we try to ramp up the inventory a little bit more. But yeah, we try to do things a little bit more seasonally with the sweatshirts. It's a tougher sell to sell a double heavyweight sweatshirt in May. Though I think our Australian friends may disagree. I've heard from you guys that you want more sweatshirts in the summer because our summer is your winter down there.
I do feel bad for them because nobody really
caters to that market as they should be catered to.
Because it's such a small minority.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. But, I'm sure you can... Your entire lives has been like that. You can plan your purchases 6 months ahead.
That's kind of it. You got to be well prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. Stephen Kolbekamp says Super Looper Fox Fiber maybe. That is, in my opinion, that is in maybe. Yeah. That is in maybe camp. It is. I think it is just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. That's just a matter of time. Give us time. That's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just like the optional colors too. And it just we make our fabrics in Japan where they're responsible with chemicals that they need to use for dyeing and all that stuff. So we don't necessarily want to move the focus away from the fun color options of Super Looper.
Yeah, but we also love Fox Fiber so much. Yes, so that's true. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. Yeah. Forrest Sun says, hi from Nuevo, Mexico. Wearing my Tokushima Level 2 dyed shirt. Definitely an awesome color. Looking forward to the Cashmere blend Henley. You will very much enjoy that, I promise you. And I'm glad you're enjoying the Tokushima shirt. We had I want to pour one out because FedEx destroyed one guy's package of Tokushima shirts. And he bought the whole shebang. Got them all. And somehow FedEx... And this is... Somehow FedEx thought it was a football. And then they thought it was just fun to run over. Because this thing ended up with tire tracks on it. Anyhow, we're going to take care of that customer. But sometimes, man... And I just have to say, it's always... It's never whenever they destroy or lose a package... Which is very rare. I'm ragging on them a little bit right now, but I would say that 99.9999% of the time there's no problem. They do a great job for us. Okay, I'm just ragging on them because
I wouldn't say 9.9999.
Okay.
I would
98, 975,
99.9%. That's
okay.
90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Risa deals with most of the problems.
Well, I mean, it's just that it's well, there's been more than destroyed packages, right?
Yeah.
There's lost packages.
Yeah.
There's packages that sent to the wrong address.
Yeah.
There's packages, and anyways,
but
they seem to not figure out how to contact the customer sometimes, even though they have their phone number and their emails.
Yeah, so. And I can't ship something without a phone number, or you know what I mean. It all has to be there. And
yeah,
anyhow.
Email we can, but it's there.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyhow, bottom line is. Every now and then there's a little oopsie doopsie whoopsie, and it's always
something we can't replace.
Yeah. It's always like that.
It's the Murphy's Law.
Yeah, that Murphy man.
People stop talking about that, but it's still there.
It's still there. It exists. But yeah, I was very disappointed, and it's just it's never we lost a shirt that you have tons of inventory of. It's never like that. It's always oh yeah, this customer waited 6 months to get this, and then we destroyed it.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we're gonna take care of that customer there. But it is just annoying that every now and then something like that happens. It's very rare. Very rare. To be fair, we ship a lot of packages, and they mostly all get there. Not just mostly. Vast majority gets there on time, and quickly, and safely. But every now and then, there is just that one that just bugs me. It just bugs me, especially that, because it's like they waited so long, and they want, you know what I mean? It's very disappointing on everybody's side. But the customer's understanding. Those like I didn't bingo. There's nothing we could do about that in particular. But anyhow, yes. John Ake says, "Love to hate it. That's it. Yeah, you love to hate it. Anyhow, I like taking bad news, making them into fun stories. I will always take negativity and get some sort of thing out of it. There's no point of just letting it nag you down. If we can turn into a story, we will." We've got Epic Sky Legend. Hello from Minnesota. Wearing one of my Ultimate Pima tees and Super Looper shorts.
Nice.
There you go. That's a popular combo for Risa on the sunny days here. Yes. Although today is not a sunny day here in Japan. It is a very rainy day. Yeah.
I am glad because of the way that like our planning is going. I'm glad that I snagged the sweatshorts this season, because I was gonna do it last year and I didn't. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get myself sweatshorts, and I'm glad I did.
There you go. But yeah, there's not many left out there.
There's a couple of like double XLs left. I think, so.
Right. So if that's your size, grab them while you can. Devin Hurt says, "What did FedEx do about it?" To be fair, I'll tell you this right now. They don't do much about it. They don't do much about it.
They would like insure to a certain degree, but obviously like we're not fully insuring the packages to the value, because if we did that for every single package, we'll be broke. Yeah, like insurance
costs a lot.
It's not like postal service or insurance is like a dollar more.
Yeah. For things like that, it's like most companies do something called self-insuring, and by self-insuring that means that we don't pay for insurance through the shipping company, because if you do that for every single package, it costs you so much more than your losses. So you're better off just
and that's its own purpose on their side. So we don't encourage that.
Yeah. And it would just cost you guys way more in shipping as well. So, we have to just have a little fund that we have for, oopsie doopsies. And, if there's a problem, we'll solve it. Basically, we have to solve it out of pocket. And that's it. They might refund us for the shipping charge because, they didn't deliver it properly, but, that's not...
There's a minimum insurance amount also, so we get that, but it's nowhere near for Indigo, natural Indigo died.
It usually won't cover the cost of whatever was damaged or wrecked.
Ever.
Alan says, hopefully the shipper don't mess with any of the baby cashmere sweaters. Yeah, we're going to have to...
Those would have to be insured somehow because we can't afford to just chuck it up too. All right, we're going to...
Yeah, that's going to be another story. But the baby cashmere will definitely be handled with an extra set of white gloves.
Yes.
So don't worry. We're going to make sure that those are delivered
and everything
correctly.
Would be signature...
Required.
Yeah,
yes. You're going to have to sign for that. Okay. Mr. Soy Francisco says, Soy Franco says, about to wear the double heavyweight hoodie in, I'm going to mispronounce the city name, Asuncion? Definitely screwed that up. Paraguay. I wonder if any Wonder Looper has ever seen this country. I don't know. I don't know if we've shipped to Paraguay very much. I've never been to Paraguay.
I've never even said the word Paraguay. I feel like we haven't shipped directly to there before. I don't know. I don't even know if we shipped to there.
Yeah, you might be the sole wearer of Wonder Looper in Paraguay at the moment.
Possible.
That's it.
Very likely, actually.
Right. Alain asks, by the way, is it possible to get chain stitch on the baby Cashmere?
So my official planned answer was no, but because let's start with why I would say no, because it is we're gonna make to order. So the however many units that we sold, that's exactly how many units we're gonna make. We can't afford to make more or less, so that's what we're aiming to do.
Yeah.
Which means there might be a little bit of fabric left over, but we can't just ask the factory to just make one just because I screw up embroidery. With that said, I never ever really screw up an embroidery. Rarely. I have done it, but it's even much less amount than
FedEx screws up packages.
So I would do it if it's not something very
complicated
or a lot of letters or something I would not do anything out of the norm at all. And I don't know. I'm still very nervous about it.
Keep it simple, like initials.
But even still, I'm just I prefer not to. That's my bottom line. But I have reviewed all the orders that came in, and a couple of people requested embroidery because we didn't specifically say no embroidery on this. And for what I got, I'm willing to do. Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of customs on the baby Cashmere Suriyami sweatshirt. Some people asked if Michael at Wild Frontier would be willing to dye it. Because I guess I talked to Michael. Michael said no.
Right.
And he said no because he didn't want to risk ruining that thing.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, because if it doesn't work out or for whatever mistake that is, again, these are, just like Risa, Michael's a professional also. He doesn't make mistakes. But every now and then, mistakes slip through. And you don't want the mistake to happen on the thing that is so expensive and you can't replace it.
Yeah. And to be fair, he has never made a mistake with our products.
Yeah.
I have made a mistake on it. So if he's not even willing to do that, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Alan says, I asked him to do a Kakishibu dye. Yeah. It's a tough one. It's because
there's no replacement whatsoever.
It's you are confident in your skills. Yeah. It's just this is another.
Yeah,
it's another animal.
You can't fix it. Because if it's something out of stock, it can be the next restock is going to be a couple months from now we'll fix it and everything will be okay. Whereas with this one, because the cost of making this is so high that we also even try not to waste any fabric. So it's possible that if we finished production of this, there might be zero fabric left.
Yeah, we're aiming for as efficient as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there you go. Okay. BD says, I almost want to say no embroidery on the baby Cashmere. Too scary. It's a little scary.
It is very scary. I would be sweating when I do the embroidery. If any of you who requested embroidery is
second guessing themselves,
yes, you can tell me and then I'll
not do it.
Not do it. Refund you for it.
There you go. Theory says, any plans for wool sweaters in the future, or mainly sticking to loop wheeled garments for now? Okay, if you're asking for say we're mostly in the sweatshirt business rather than sweater business.
It's a whole different business. Yeah. And, maybe in the future we will expand to that. But currently sweat. Yeah.
Sweaters are, to me, are I would get into wovens before I would get into sweaters.
Yes. 100%.
So I'm not saying no, but again, on the pathway between now, the Gap, Apple. There's
Maybe
a
we
big
don't-
gap. There's a lot of big gaps between there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will do knitted garments before we turn into Gap size.
Sure.
I feel like we need to have that in order to be Gap, but that's way closer to being a Gap than we are at our current point.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Sebastian Pilje, good to see you, my friend. He says, he's asking everybody if they've smashed that like button yet.
Have you?
Most
everybody? Of you have not.
So let's do that. While you've got the chance right now, hit the like button. Maybe if you're watching in the live stream replay, hit the like button now and leave a comment. Let us know what you're wearing today. What are you wearing? We want to know. And we also want to know your feelings on sweatpants versus sweat shorts in the survey. So be sure to answer that when you get a chance.
Yeah. Let's go back to the wool question, because I think maybe like the question was in, like a
wool
knitted,
sweatshirt.
Yeah. Wool
Okay.
Sweatshirts
With
made
wool.
with wool fibers, and that's way more of a possibility. Closer to the current day.
Yeah, wool blend. We Arif mentioned yak. So yak is definitely on
Yak
the
is on the horizon for not this upcoming fall, but the next fall we'll be considering it. So
there'll be some other furry friends out there in the realm. Yantan says Vicuna.
I mean,
wait a minute. Just give us time, my friend. Give us time. If you thought the baby Cashmere was expensive,
yes. I mean, yes. We are aware of the possibility, and we will again never say never.
Yeah, but
we're not there yet.
Yeah, just give us some time. Yeah, what I love about this. What I love about this conversation is, how old are we as a company?
2.5 years.
Yeah, and people are already like, can you make something faster than the Ferrari? Can like so, and we're like, the answer is probably yes, but just give us a minute. Okay, so just give us a minute. We'll I don't want to, like, I enjoy making wild stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to only be known for like really expensive sweatshirts. Like, we do have to, like, I like Super Looper. It's, a great price point. Fleece Fox Fibers, great price point. Double heavyweight, it's a little pricey, but it's still fine. The the Fox Fiber one's up there. The Indigo one's going to be up there. The Iron Mordant one's going to be up there. So, like, let's. I'm fine to play around in there, but I want to keep everything in, like, I want to keep most of the things in affordable land. Right.
And the thing is, like, we with the baby Cashmere video was like the most hate we got, I feel. Most controversial product, apparently. And the unfortunate truth is that is like the best value we ever offer in the entire
price for value for like what you're getting. The answer is yes, because it's our lowest margin like product by a mile.
Far.
Like,
and that's because, like, obviously it's
maybe it's just. The reason is because, like, sometimes you just want to make the thing, and it's just like, if we made it at like full maximum profit level, it's going to be so expensive that, like, I don't think enough people could possibly enjoy it. It's kind of like at Naked Pants when we did the 32 ounce, they did the 40 ounce. Like, there's no Brandon, when he made that 40 ounce jean, I think they sold it for $2,040.
There's no way.
There's in that one, there's like almost literally no profit in it. Like, there's
considering how long it took to make the fabric and then figure out how to
few pairs they made, the time it took to sew it, like,
there's no way that you can make any money on that.
Yeah, but it's part of, like, we're gonna do it, and we're just gonna do it, right?
Yes.
maybe a different company, like a luxury company. To be fair, they probably have the customer base where they can make something and sell it at like a ginormous price with a full margin, including the $10 million store and the advertising campaign to match. They can do that. We can't do that, right?
Right.
And so, sometimes for us it's like, I make money on the t-shirts. I make money on the stuff that like we sell every day. I'm like, this is not the everyday stuff. This is the very, very, very like niche special stuff. And it's okay to make less money on that. But it's also really fun to be able to make that stuff. I want to be able to say that we made it. I really enjoy making that stuff. And like, if we made it and didn't sell it, what's the point?
Right.
Right. So sometimes we got to balance those things out a little bit. But yeah. That's just sort of where we are with that.
And that's not to say, like, margin isn't everything. So the reason why we can make lower margin item like that is because the relative price is higher. So, that doesn't mean that we can make lower margin on everyday stuff like t-shirts. Like, that's we can't operate. Like, we try to get the best value out of everything.
Yeah.
All the products. And that's not changing. It's just that, like, with such higher priced things that we can technically make less margin on it because we're dealing with such small quantities and also relatively high price. And when I say relatively, it's not just like a little bit. I meant like in relative to just actual,
what's out there.
Like money amount wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that answers that part. The Moore says 40 ounce for the Naked and Famous 40 ounce. Special hardware, leather patch, button zippers. Tate and Yoko probably makes peanuts on the sale. Yeah. You have to understand, they also bought a very special sewing machine for this. That cost many thousands of dollars.
And they had to learn how to use that machine.
Yeah. And the entire process was done on one machine by hand with multiple sewers operating the machine. There's just no way I forget what they were making per day, but it was like one pair a day or something like that. Like,
yeah, but that's after they got to the point where they can make it.
So like the hours.
Yeah, research and development costs was so high.
Tremendous. It was impossible. But that wasn't the point. The point was to put your flag on top of Mount Everest and claim that. And that's it. It's done. That's the world's heaviest production gene. It's not just some concept car. It was the world's fastest car. Oh, it was a concept car. It was never made. It was never sold. We produced it once for an auto show. Right? There's that, and then there's you can buy this. This is a real thing that we fleshed out, and that's what they did. And so that's a pretty big feat. And if they wanted to make money on it, to be fair, they've been around a long time. They have a lot of customers. Probably enough to have been able to charge more, but they didn't because again, that's not where they're going to make their money.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is with that product, it's not like the more you sell, the cost would be low. The cost of each individual unit's production is lower. It's going to be exactly the same, except that you're splitting like the research and development costs into more units total, but it's just not like just because you sold a couple more that production is going to be easier. No, it's
harder. It makes it a lot harder. Jantan says, I'm more in favor of the affordable stuff. Was just randomly throwing that out there, the Vicuna idea. I wasn't trying to pressure or anything. No, don't worry, you're not the only one who's asked. Okay.
And without anybody asking, that thought is in our
head. That was already back there.
It's just that we were all on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry.
We're not gonna put our business at risk in order to make things like that.
Yeah.
But if we can, within our ability, I think someday we would like to.
Yeah. We're in the realm of making very fascinating and interesting sweatshirts. That's what we like to do. So we're gonna explore every opportunity out there, and if we can do it, there's ways to there's like baby cashmere sweatshirt, for instance, but there's also maybe an opportunity down the road for like a cashmere cotton blend, something where you can get much of the similar feel but at a better price point. So like there's always different ways to approach these things. There's the maximum overdrive extreme, turn it, let's break the speedometer, and then there's like okay, let's get it into like on the highway speeds.
Definitely.
Right? So we're going to go down all those avenues.
Personally, what I like about the sweatshirts business is that, like, for instance, if we were to do cotton cashmere, we can do cotton outside on the outside layer, and then cashmere inside, so that like you look like you're wearing just a regular old sweatshirt, but inside you're just you're
bathing in luxury.
Yeah.
I have to say that the gripe around the baby cashmere, and I also noticed the other day, like there was like a Reddit thread where like people were getting upset at the idea of like $100 t-shirts, and
I understand.
I 100% understand. One, like, let's be real, okay?
It is an insane amount of luxury that most people would not even think about.
Right. So I understand people. Oh, it's just a gray sweatshirt. I'm like, yes, it is. It is. In the bare bones, way to think about it is a gray sweatshirt. It's a very, 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 very comfortable gray sweatshirt, but it is a gray sweatshirt, and you're gonna pay a little bit more for that. Yeah. That's just the way it is. But like, my problem with that mentality is then everything's sort of the race to the bottom, right? Why would you pay $300 for headphones? The dollar store has got headphones for $15. The airlines has free headphones. Why do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's this constant like idea that like everything has to be the most, and in order to get those really low price, everything has to be the most efficient possible.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's not the spice of life. The spice of life is variety and trying things and enjoying things, and sometimes it's a matter of just like, you know what? I like those tweaks. I like to tweak it up a little bit. I like the premium cotton feel. I like the way that this shirt feels silky. This shirt feels like, cloudy and puffy and soft. This shirt feels tough and rugged. There's a lot of different ways to enjoy things. And when you change things up, that's when, prices increase. I'm not saying that these are the most, like, what we do is definitely not the most efficient. The most efficient is Hanes or Fruit of the Loom. Let's make 100 million t-shirts. That's very efficient what they do. They have factories that are set up to just do one thing. Ours don't operate that way.
Right. And the beauty of Hanes and Fruit of the Loom and all those companies that they appeal to the mass, and I think it's important. And we're all like, not everybody's interested in just like they're happy with just being able to cover yourself up and just go about it, your daily life, and wash your t-shirts for 100 times and it's still not gonna fall apart. And I think all these things that like even the cheap t-shirts nowadays can be sufficient in that, and that's fine. Most people just want that, and we're only making things for non.
Yeah, we want people, right? Exactly, right. So, like, what we're making for is the people who want those detailed changes. They want to know the process. They like the special intricacies that go into this, and they understand that, this is pricey, and I'm definitely paying a premium for this.
Yeah.
But it does, like, it's just in certain realms, like, where people make these kinds of comments, and it's like, but you probably also have a hobby. You have a hobby somewhere where that this is, like if you're in the keyboards are a great example, right? You can go to Walmart, you can buy a keyboard probably for $25. And then you go into the world of mechanical keyboards, and all of a sudden, you can get a good mechanical keyboard probably for $80 to $100. And then there's the ones that are like $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $1,000. And people are like, well, it's just a keyboard. Yeah, it's just a keyboard. But this keyboard has really nice, key travel. It's got a nice sound to it. I really enjoy the way they make the keycaps. Like, it really gets into like this artisanal thing that is just beyond function at that point. And it's like, I really enjoy these small nuances in life.
Right.
And that's okay, because every hobby, and fashion is a hobby. A lot of people don't, like, some people, fashion is more about function than anything else, but also for many of us, if you're tuning into this, fashion is a hobby, right? You enjoy fashion in a different way than a lot of people are going to consume fashion. People just they need a shirt, they buy a shirt, they wear the shirt. I need to. If I don't have a shirt and shoes, there's no business. Which I also have a problem with, because if you just walked into that restaurant with a shirt and shoes only, they're not going to serve you, right? I don't understand where this comes from.
It's because that if you're not wearing pants, you're not allowed to be on the street before you even get.
But what if you're just in your underwear? No shirt, no shoes, no business. If I just show up in underwear with a shirt and shoes on, I don't know if that's any better than just if I were to go to the restaurant with just pants on. Does somebody want to explain that one to me?
Also, like, okay.
I just went on a weird tangent here.
Technically, like, it's not illegal to walk around in underwear only, right?
No.
As long as you're covered, your
spots. So long as you covered the end zone.
But, But then, like, nobody walks around in their underwear.
Not nobody, but very few. Yeah. I'm sure people.
It's just.
Yeah. Anyhow, what can I say? I don't know how I got on that tangent. Mad Perfect says there's 3 things people need: food, shelter, and clothing. $100 shirts justified. Checkmate. Boom. Done. Right?
As long as it's clothing.
Yeah, as long as it's clothing.
But it's like the whole like thing is just like Ferrari. Ferrari is just a car.
Yes.
It's the same as Prius.
Right. Whatever. Or going to like the really nice steakhouse versus the family restaurant.
Yeah.
Right? Why is the steak over here $300 and the steak over here is $30?
You can make a steak at home for like, $4. I don't know.
I don't know about that anymore these days. Steaks are pricey.
Like $10,
Right.
So it's the whole like logic is just like, okay, then like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you on the internet?
Right. And why aren't you wearing $10 shoes instead of wearing $110 Nikes? Right. You know what I mean? There's always a way to find the cheaper version of something. Mm-hmm. That's not the argument here. But yeah, it does. While I completely understand the sentiment here, I also don't agree with it.
But those people who are saying that doesn't really like think any further, like because they're not interested, not because they're not intelligent, but they're not interested in learning why it is a certain price, right? Like I think that's the bottom line. Like if you're interested in learning it, then you can you can certainly maybe not like understand fully, but like still be like, okay, well this makes sense.
Yeah, to me it's funny because sometimes you'll see a comment and they're like, somebody will explain, oh well they're using these premium materials and the special cotton, blah blah blah. Someone's like, well that's just a gimmick. I'm like,
right. I
guess having a V8 or a V12 in a car is just a gimmick. I mean, you could just have a V4 or a V6, and
there's a difference between what we're doing and sometimes like because the important distinction that we want to make sure that people are getting is that like, okay, when you just say it's just a white T-shirt, right? Like this is a white T-shirt is available from Hanes at like $2 or something like that. It's insanely cheap. We're selling $100-something T-shirts. We can explain why it's $110. Whereas Gucci is selling a white T-shirt with the logo. Granted that it's a print job that we don't do, but for $800, and it's like first question them. Like what that makes no sense. As opposed to like, okay, well, like why would you pay $110 for a white T-shirt? Well, because we care about this, we care about that. But
I'm also not saying it's like 50 times better than the $2 T-shirt.
Oh, 100% no.
It's not. That's not how any of this works. No. The expensive headphones, that are $3,000 aren't 10 times better than the $300 ones.
Definitely,
they're just not.
Unfortunately, that's just not how it works.
There's a law of diminishing returns, and that certainly applies to premium-made garments as well as premium-made anything and everything. Right? That's just the way it is. We all understand that, and anyhow, I just wish a little bit more people would be. I understand that there's nonsense out there. There are the brands that charge you a lot of money for nothing. In my opinion, for nothing. Yeah. But you get prestige. Right, maybe there's some prestige with that.
I may not agree with that value, but there's like, again, with Gucci things, like I would never pay $800 for a logo T-shirt from Gucci, but the reason why they can sell that is because they spent money advertising it and dressing up celebrities and all of those things. And if those things and recognizable logos are important, then there is certainly a certain amount of value in that.
Yeah.
If you think that $800 is worth it or not is where like how much value you put in that extra things.
Yeah. Maybe you put on that T-shirt, you think you wear it to the club, you're gonna get the girl. And maybe you do get the girl, so it's definitely worth it to you.
And in the same way, we also understand that some people don't really care about like a slight difference in texture of, a Tsuriyami T-shirt versus like, like modern T-shirts. Like it's, like I understand that.
Yeah, but there's also the people who are like, that was made in a way that isn't made anymore. It's very difficult. Like maybe the texture is not even that much perceivable for them, but it's the craft and art that goes into it that is important to them. And like to me, those are the kinds of things that I like. And when we were in Scotland, we went to a wool tweed mill. Yeah. And they had these old yarn spinning machines. And I was looking at them, and they didn't look like they had been used in forever. And they were from like 1920, 1930, something like that. Like these giant old metal machines. And the guy was like, yeah, we don't really use those anymore. They take forever to use. Like we might use them like every now and then, but like they're like we just don't use those. And I'm like, to me, I'm just like, oh man, like just if you were to fire that thing up and just like you can hear the clickety clacking of the machine and just how loud and like how sort of inefficient it is, like to me there's just something about making it an old school way that isn't done anymore, that there's a certain value to that because there's so little of it, and it maybe the quality might not actually be as good as the modern machines in some respects, or a very different quality. But just the fact that, you have to make the effort to do something slowly and traditionally to make something, if you want to make something vintage, you actually have to go all the way back. You have to do it in a particular way. And yeah, there's an intangible quality there for me, and I know for people like you who enjoy like all these little details, that it makes a part of it. And if that adds $20 to the cost of a T-shirt, well, I guess maybe that's okay, right?
That tweed mill is like the definition of inefficient production, because this. Well, what I loved about that place was that, like, it's so, like, it's, like, the entire process. Okay, they're not spinning yarns, but they have the capability, and they use do
Yeah.
do the like plying of yarns, like twisting of yarns themselves in house in order to make the fabric, which they they weave downstairs, and like they only had like 3 machines, 3 looms, which is like considering like just this.
Like if you go to like a Japanese denim mill and like even salvage denim mill, like some of them, like you go in there and there's like 100 machines running, right? And like to go into a mill where there's 3 machines in there and like one of them is running, they're like, oh yeah,
and it's just like so inefficient. But it was so cool because like we only saw like that much integration, like the whole process in one spot by like a humongous company only. This is just like really like one tiny building, like probably a couple people working kind of situation, and they're just doing basically the whole shebang up until like tailoring. They're making suits
they make the suits there, and they had like pictures of like the king, and like I know they made stuff for him, and it's just like that's the kind of level where it's just like we just make the absolute top of the best, like that's it. We don't really mess around anywhere else, and like what we make is what we make, and how we make it is how we make it, and
But again, like again, it's just like their fabrics are insanely expensive, and so like I wanted to get something from there, just as a souvenir, and I just like I like fabrics, so it's like I was asking them if I could buy some like offcuts or not offcuts, but like end of rolls. And there were, the one that I picked, granted that it was like wool and silk, so it was like very expensive out of everything. But like they gave me like a way less than retail of the per yard price. But still, it was very expensive, very, very expensive. And it's like I would never buy fabric like that out of a fabric store here or anything like that. It's just like I found value in like being there and
I saw the production.
So I wanted to have that. It wasn't like anything super like special in terms of design or like the feel was amazing, but it's not like I have a project about that. It's just that the value for me there was that it's way overpriced, but it's very expensive. But like when you see what it takes to make it, you really start to understand, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it, right? This isn't some mass production, thing going on here. This is when we went there was literally 3 people working this entire mill, and. They just want to produce the kinds of things that they produce, the best of the best, and there's a price that goes with it. And like the bottom line is that like it was like the idea about like what you find value and pay for it. It's actually very like this day and age where relatively, especially people in this chat, are relatively like fortunate enough to spend money on something that we find value in. Like if you're really like struggling to live, then that's really not the case. And the reason why these like mills cater to like the kings and whatnot, like it's just, like back in the days, those are the only people who can
afford
something like that. Whereas like nowadays, like I'm nowhere close to being king, but or queen, but I can splurge a little on like things that it's not the most efficient cost wise.
I just have to say that like as troubled as the world is today, I would say that like relative wealth, the amount of luxuries that the average person can enjoy nowadays compared to even one generation ago or even 100 years ago is incredible. Like I think like sometimes I just think about this, like an iPhone, like me and the president of the United States or the king of England or there's nothing. Is there something better than this? And if there is, like
we don't know about it.
Like is there like what I mean? Like whereas back in the day, if the king had something, there's no way you would even get close to having the same thing as what they had. There's just absolutely no chance.
Exactly.
Whereas nowadays, there's a lot of things in the world where you're like, well, if I have the best, computer, they have the exact same one. Like, there's no difference between what I could get and what they can get. Now, certainly, there are certain luxuries that are far beyond, right? Private jets or things like that. Okay, fine. But, like, in terms of, like, a cashmere sweater, right? The best cashmere sweater in the world is whatever they can get, you could probably get it too, right? I have a suit that I got in New York. They are the tailors for the presidents. My suit was made in the same place. They had pictures of Clinton, Obama, everybody. They are all there with their suits. And my suit came from there too. And it's like, wasn't terribly expensive. And you can get one too. And I'm like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So I'm glad that, the world has, there's certainly a lot of inequity and things like that still around. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But we can all enjoy a lot more nowadays, which I certainly appreciate. When I was a kid, I did not, I remember very distinctively, I was a teenager walking around downtown Toronto, and I ended up in a store called Holt Renfrew. Many years later, I ended up working there. But I just remember going there, and this is sort of the time where I was, like, discovering, brands. I didn't know about brands, but I was discovering brands. And I'm like, oh, maybe, I wanted a Gucci tie or, like, a Burberry tie or something like that. I walked into the store, and I remember walking into a Louis Vuitton store and, like, looking at the price of the tie. I'm like, it was $200. And I'm like, 200? Like, who would... Mind you, I'm making $6.85 an hour. Like, there's just no chance in hell I was going to buy that tie. But I couldn't even fathom the idea of a $200 tie. And then I walked into Holt Renfrew, and I picked up these Burberry socks. I'm like, I could have Burberry socks, right? Like, Burberry socks, that's just, they're just socks. And I turned them around, $45 for a pair of socks. $45, I couldn't believe it. It was mind-blowing. Whereas nowadays, I have to admit, I've definitely spent that much money on socks, but usually from, like, companies that make really, really nice socks. And, I can appreciate what goes into that sock. I would say that the socks that I buy now for, like, $30, $40 are a lot nicer than those Burberry socks that were the same price, but it's, my perceptions have also changed over time with the more that I've learned about fabric and appreciated things. Now, I can see the difference between something that, in my opinion, is worth the money versus something that is not worth the money. But, I'm less sticker shocked at things nowadays that I do understand what goes into making things. I am sticker shocked when I see something overpriced for nothing. Like, when I see some, like...
But even that, like, you can also just kind of, guess where the money is going. Whether we value it or not is a different story, but you just,
Yeah. Nicholas Philpott says, I'm pretty sure Trump doesn't have a tailor. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he does. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
He goes with, like, just one tailor.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he probably spends a lot of money on suits.
Yeah.
That's my guess. It's just my guess. Bay said, it just occurred to me you are wearing the cashmere hoodie. I love how it drapes. This is the Super Looper. You can get the same look for less.
See, this is also like this is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It looks so. What's the word?
Inconspicuous, incognito.
Yes.
This, like, the baby cashmere sweater is the definition of quiet luxury. Just pure quiet luxury. It's just, you wear that with some nice jeans, maybe some nice leather shoes, and, if you want to ball out, you have, like, a grand Seiko or something on your wrist, and it's just, that outfit is just there's nothing screaming I'm wearing expensive stuff. But you're draped in like all the nicest things. Beautiful, comfortable feeling sweatshirt, some nice jeans, a beautiful watch. But you're not trying to show off. And to me, I love that. That's the level I want to be. Right? I don't want anyone to, really,
Right.
I don't want that.
Yeah. Tacky.
I just want to blend in, feel nice, because I'm wearing it for moi. I want it for me. I'm not wearing it for you. I'm enjoying this. Right? And that's what it's all about. For me. Yeah. Minwa Maxim, could you please try on the baby cashmere crewneck inside out? I was wondering if we could daily use it both ways. 2 sweatshirts for the price of 1. You can't. No. You're not going to wear that inside out.
Also, you snug it everywhere you go. It's not a good idea.
Don't do it. Stanny says, Quiet Luxury is cooked since Succession came out. Now it's a lot of posers.
I think Quiet Luxury has
What is Succession?
Succession is the show that actually kind of made this word Quiet Luxury I think people just started talking about it because of the show, but Quiet Luxury has been there the entire time.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. It's just that people, maybe
it's more
equated luxury with brands and bling blings have maybe reevaluated because of the show. That I don't know.
It's possible. But, I definitely hear on Instagram, you get the reels and stuff like that. And you get the fashion guys who are... I would say that the reels... What's interesting about reels is how fast they go from trend to trend. Because I feel like they're in an arms race to be the next person to talk about the next topic. So
the first person to talk about the next topic, yeah.
And so they're always just moving fast. Whether or not, the trend is here, whether it's coming, it's here, or it's already passed.
It's a trend or
at
not.
all, right? They just here's the latest trend. Yeah. So they're just talking about things. And so Quiet Luxury is one of those things that has come up on the radar because one person started talking about it, and then that was probably getting some clicks. So other people started talking about it, and it just made its way through it made its rounds.
Yeah.
It ain't going anywhere. It's here to stay, and and I also feel that the more generally mature you get, I think the natural progression for a lot of people is when you're younger, maybe there's a lot of products that you aspire to have, the luxury brands, the thing you see, the rappers, the singers, the celebrities, they're all draped in that stuff, so you want to be like that. And when you start to make a little bit of money, I can actually buy these things. I can get them. So you do. And then, maybe
next step?
Right, what's the next step? Or maybe you find that you're not getting the satisfaction out of these things that you thought you might have got. I definitely felt that way because I was when I was young, I was always chasing, the next season, what can I get? What's hot, what's trendy? And then I gave up on all that. I was like, forget this stuff. And when it was really when I learned about raw denim that I made a big shift towards let's focus a little bit more on qualité and craftsmanship. And then that's sort of where I've been for, 20-something years now.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of people do get in there, and I do like that a lot of the influencer type people are talking about raw denim because I find that once you get in on that, once that is your, once you start to learn why Japanese denim, raw denim is special, it's hard to erase that mentality from your brain when it comes to anything else that you buy. Right? It's like, well, I'm buying this because of the quality and not because it has some fancy pockets on the back or some celebrity wore it, it's very trendy. Now, some people might think, okay, well, it's trendy, so I'm going to buy it. But as you start to learn why you're wearing it, you start to learn all these details, and it's hard to erase that memory.
Right, and also the personal satisfaction you get from those things.
Right.
You don't get that from local things.
No. All right. Who's at the door? It's not a guest. Package? I have to say that last week I mentioned that I lost my wallet. I haven't found it, so I have to go through the process of replacing all the cards and ting. And I was hoping, is it?
No.
Okay, you had something in your hands. In my brain, I had like this dream where during the live stream, somebody would knock on the door and be like, "Yo, I got your wallet." And I thought that was about to happen, and you were sitting there with your hands covered.
No.
I'm like, oh.
Sorry.
So, okay, my wallet's gone forever. Charles says, yeah, I think Japanese are more sharp-eyed. Nobody ever commented on why clothing, shoes, watch until I visited Japan.
You know, we were actually talking about this yesterday. And I think there's a major like attitude difference between, you know, like North American way of thinking about luxury and like Japanese way of thinking about luxury. I mean, it's not that we don't have people who are flashy or anything like that.
There are the bling bling types.
They definitely exist in big numbers. But I think in general, like regular people's like just attitude is that modesty is a virtue.
Yeah.
A big one in this country, and that if you have money, it's very, very tacky to show it off.
Yeah. It like a good example is not. You know, I don't think in general a Rolls Royce is that flashy. Sometimes I feel like it's usually the person that's a little bit more flashy than the car itself. Perhaps, yeah. You know, it's not like a.
I mean, they're a historic company that they're just keeping it.
But Japan has its own version of that car, and it's made by a Toyota, and it's called a Century, and it doesn't have like Toyota badging. It has its own little badge, and it has looks like a peacock or something on it.
I think Phoenix.
A Phoenix.
Is it? I don't know.
And it's such a low-key looking sedan. It looks like a sedan from like 1998. It's nice. The finishing is all nice and beautiful. But if you saw that driving down the street, unless you knew you were looking at a Century, you wouldn't know that car cost like $250,000. Like it's I gotta pull it up because I love this car. I really, really love this car.
And it's basically invite only. You can't
you can't just buy it.
Even if you're a famous rapper.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It's like.
Although you could buy a secondhand.
You can buy a secondhand, and in the West you can actually import them, and they're really not that expensive to buy like a secondhand one. And because they're all like Japanese secondhand, and most of the people who were using them were like diplomats or like, you know, sort of important people. It's not like they put a lot of miles on them. Mm-hmm. So hold on. That's a Century, right? It is just such a low-key looking car. And like every now and then you see one around and you're like, huh, that doesn't look so flashy. But like that's Japanese luxury in a nutshell, where it's like, we're not trying to like ball out here, but we are. And like if you know what it is, you know what it is. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of this car. I love this car.
Yeah, but because of that, I think our eyes are a little bit more like accustomed to, you know, finding non-obvious luxury.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, it's always a little more subtle here, I have to say. But yeah, the bling bling people here are funny.
Yes,
they're generally like, there's no like in between bling bling. It's like, if I'm gonna be flashy, I am mega flashy. Like it is usually very, and it's often a lot of leopard print. Like the flashy people love leopard print. It is a big association with that, and I love leopard print. And like have like a long leopard print coat and have leopard print things. And
but leopard print, I think the position of leopard print in Japan and in North America are pretty similar, I feel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the bling bling people are.
they live in a different age, is what I feel. You know, they're not like on.
They're just a little bit more eccentric in a way. They're like I tend to associate them with sort of being a little bit more bubbly, or they're like what I don't call them. Somebody called them Yankee style, and like it's sort of like what you'll see is they're generally a little bit more country, and they're very. They're flashy in their own sort of way. Like Yankee style is like American style, kind of. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that's where it came from originally, the word, but I don't see it.
Yeah, but
I
like
don't see the connection.
But yeah, it's anyhow, it's few and far between. Like you'll see them around. You go to Tokyo, there's millions of people there. So like you walk around, you're gonna see some people that are a little obviously more flashy than others. And they all sort of, like, if you were to put them all in a room together, you'd be like, ah, yes, like, this is, you guys have a thing here. This is your thing.
But the funny thing is that, like, you know, like, when like, Skajan is, like, you know, became a thing in North America, you know, like, because it has interesting historic background and it's, you know, it's a actual like serious craftsmanship things, and you know people kind of like that about Japan.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, in Japan most people who are wearing that, like as you know, regular people are like a lot of those people are categorized in more flashy people land, rather than like the vintage,
the heritage guys. Yeah, you get the hair. Like the other day I was at the grocery store and there was like a heritage guy with like a skajan on,
and like we wear skajans too, right. but it's just
sometimes it's very different. Like you have the heritage guys that do it, and they're a little fewer and far between, and then you get the flashy guys that do it, and their styles are completely different.
Because, I mean, to be fair, like, the discussion just on its own is flashy. It's very loud design, loud colors kind of things.
And sometimes it's like they tend to be a little more nationalistic. Am I right in that sense? Like, they'll have motorcycles, they'll have, like, the old flags on them, and, like... Yeah, I guess so. They're sometimes a little bit more, like, that leaning.
Some people like that, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Charles says, Stanley B, not fair though. I do have a friend who is super loaded and he wears a Casio because he is so rich and all those fancy watches don't matter to him. Yeah, and Stanley B says, I find some rich people going too overboard with the being approachable annoying though, like Bill Gates wearing the Casio. Are you making fun of us?
I don't think so, because like I've known like a person who's very like, you know, wealthy and wore a lot of expensive clothing and suits and everything, but like they just couldn't get themselves into like, and it's not like, you know, he was trying to be like low key or anything. Clearly not, because, you know, whatever, but like he was just never really into watches guy. Like it's just like whatever, this is just tells time.
Sometimes I think the watch is a weird thing, because sometimes people just like, I've seen like, what's his name, I think like Steve Wozniak and like even one of those guys from Mythbusters, I forget his name, but you know, they all wear Casios. Like I think the thing is, like, some people just really appreciate the quality and the quality and function of a Casio, and it's just like, this is a hard watch to beat, right? And like the maintenance of an expensive watch, for some people, especially I would say like, you know, picky people, they don't want to deal with it. Like the watches I wear, I have a couple of nice watches, but like there's just something annoying about, oh god, this watch. Like it's, you know, I have to wind it, or I have to do this, so I have to go take it for service. Like it's such an annoying thing, right? And like, give me a $300 watch, I'm happy. Like like you buy a $300 Casio, you're going to be over the moon with the features of that thing. It's going to be amazing.
But also, it's just, like, they might own a nice watch or whatever, but maybe they just, it's like, you can afford to eat out at nice luxurious steakhouse restaurants every night, but sometimes you just want a pizza from off the street guy. It's like maybe like their version of that is that, like, most of the days I would prefer a pizza from the street rather than a nice restaurant. Maybe like on special occasion we go to a nice restaurant kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like maybe those people also just like prefer Casio because it's just so much easier to tell time or whatever. And then it's just like sometimes you just want a nice watch.
Yeah, and like somebody was asking me if I have a dream Grand Seiko, and I do. I almost bought it the other day, but then I looked up the price and I was like, but I'll show it to you because I want to buy it. Hold on, SBGA. Hold on, I have it on my phone. I took a picture of it. 445. This thing is beautiful, and I want to buy it, but I'm only gonna buy it when I want to sell a bunch of stuff I don't use. This is my idea. I'm going to sell a bunch of stuff I don't use, and then I will buy it. But I have to get a good picture of it first so that you guys can see it. And if I can't why can't I go to your website? Is this it? Sorry. I know this is riveting material here, guys, but give me a second. Here we go. Let's go to the internet. This is the one. This guy. It's a titanium body, and it has like this, kind of textured back here. And I think it looks very beautiful, very classy. That's a classy watch. That's a classy price. That's in Japanese yen money. So like US dollar, that's probably like $7,000, something like that. So I have a lot of little knickknacks and things around the house that have some value that I don't use. I don't want them anymore. So I'm going to sell them all and see how much of that I can turn into cash, and then I will go and then buy this, hopefully. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. I just can't spend that much money outright on a watch. I think it's too much money. Mm-hmm. But if I turn things that I don't use into money, then I feel like I've already wasted that money. That money's already wasted.
It's also
right?
already in the air.
Yeah. Then I can do it.
Okay.
Then I can do it.
Sense. Some weird way.
Yeah.
Show off your new watch.
I did just buy a new watch yesterday, but it wasn't a lot of money. It was like $300. And I saw this in a secondhand store, and I took a picture of it. Because I thought it was so weird. I loved it because it had like this carbon fiber detail on it, and I just thought it was a weird looking watch. It wasn't that expensive, and then I started looking it up online, and it turns out it was sort of a rare watch that they only made 250 of in this color in like 2010. It was like a concept watch that they turned into a real thing, and it's a Citizen watch here. You can see it's got like this cool like dome dial, dome face that looks really cool, and then it has all this carbon fiber finishing. It's got like a titanium case with this carbon fiber finish on top, and it just has this cool looking dome. It's got like radio function for like setting the time, so it just automatically has the perfect time. You can change the time zone very easily, and it just automatically adjusts. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's a little big for my wrist, I think. But it wasn't too pricey, and I saw it, and I knew I would not come across this again because of like how rare it was, and I just had to have it. So that's my new Citizen Eco Drive Dome.
Eco Drive.
Eco Drive.
Okay, so it's good for the environment.
I think they just call it Eco Drive because that's their like. It has like a rechargeable battery with just the sun, and it holds its charge for like months. So yeah, it's a pretty cool watch. It wasn't expensive. I don't like expensive watches except that Grand Seiko. But if it was $300, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. At that price,
There's a lot of things I would buy
Yeah.
if it was $300.
yeah. Even if it was $1,000, I'd be like,
Okay.
okay, I'll go even further. If it was $3,000, I'd think about it, but I'd buy it.
I feel like your limit in terms of like very
My limit in terms of anything is $3,000. Yeah, like if it costs more than $3,000, I don't want it. Like it doesn't really matter what it is. If it costs
Right.
more than $3,000, I'm just like I'm out.
I
Yeah.
mean, except for a place to live,
Yeah, place to live and a car.
car. But place to live as in owning. It's
Yes.
not like rent. $3,000 rent. That seems like a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot.
I
of
don't
money
know
for
if I could
rent.
do that. But yeah, I'm a lot cheaper than in certain ways. Certain things like shoes, like certain things I'll spend, but like $3,000 definitely my limit. Yeah.
Right. So you
yeah.
wouldn't buy the cashmere.
No, that's under $3,000.
Oh, US dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. $3,000 US like my limit for almost, and like before I really got to think about it, like a real hard, good think. John says frugal, not cheap. That's it. I'm frugal. I'm not just gonna buy anything and everything. I I have to put some thought into it.
I'm glad you do. 'Cause
Yeah, but I because to be fair, I bought a lot of dumb things. Sometimes I just buy stuff,
Yeah.
and I buy it because I like it, and then I end up not using it. Like, God, you know how many shoes I have? I have 100 pairs of shoes back there. I barely leave the house,
Yeah.
and that's all money just sitting there, really doing nothing. I've definitely taken my shoe buying. My shoe buying has gone down a lot. I've eased up on that, but yeah. Anyway, sometimes you find other ways to spend your money. I've definitely been buying a lot of digital watches over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. John says, "Is why I'm afraid to get tattoos. I know I'll change my mind 3 months later." I kind of feel the same way about that as well. All right. John says, "I've been trying to sell off the stuff I don't touch so I can offset the fun purchases that offset the fun purchases." Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Every now and then,
100%.
thin out the herd, and buy something that you really like.
Right. And even just like from the standpoint of not owning too much, said the person who owns so much stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like it's better to like kind of rotate things so that you're not accumulating forever.
Yeah. Devin Hurt says, "You need more Yucatan sandals / house slippers." I have 5 pairs. Do you understand? I have 5. I don't have 1. I have 5.
Yeah.
That's just the way I roll. Like our Blu-ray collection is huge. I have more doubles in Blu-rays. Doubles.
But
Sometimes
we need to get rid of
triples.
that.
We need to get rid of them.
Definitely need to get rid of
Than
them.
most people have in their movie collections. We've got boxes of doubles and triples.
Yeah. The only thing about movie collection that I like is that we have to get rid of the doubles, but like everything is different. Like everything is
Yeah.
replaceable.
Right. Mad Perfect says, "Nah, maximalism is the way." I am for sure a maximalist, but I don't want to be a hoarder. There's a difference. You gotta have the things that you like, but the problem with when you have a lot of stuff is you gotta take care of a lot of stuff. And if I'm taking care of stuff I don't need, I don't want, then that's when it becomes a problem. So if you've got extra shoes, too many flannel shirts or, denim jackets or whatever it is, and you need to thin out the herd, thin it out. And maybe there's that special piece that maybe you're not considering. Maybe there's that special leather jacket. It's just a little bit maybe outside your comfort zone. Well, it won't be so much if you take stuff that you don't use and you turn that into the thing that you really want. So I highly, highly, highly encourage that. Collecting isn't hoarding. Collecting isn't hoarding unless
But you need
you
to
start
curate
hoarding. Yeah.
your collection.
Yeah.
And curating sometimes means that you need to rotate out some things.
Yeah. Or like, I used to collect video games and I would buy lots. I mean, with Blu-rays, I would buy lots. And sometimes you end up with doubles and triples and quadruples. And I wouldn't sell them. I would just hold on to them. Maybe one day I'll need this for something. Well, I need that extra one to trade. you know what? I never found that trade. I never found that person to trade with. And so I've got like 12 copies of Zelda. Like, I don't need 12 copies of Zelda. I can get rid of a couple of them.
Or 6 copies of 300.
Yeah, I have so many copies of 300.
300 was like way overprinted.
Yeah. The movie 300. It's a good movie. But I have so many copies of that. If you get into Blu-ray collecting, you're going to end up with copies of 300. Dark Knight. All the Nolan Batman trilogy, you're just going to end up with 1 million copies of that. Interstellar, for some reason the Nolan movies always get printed a lot. You will end up with a bunch of those. Ghostbusters, I have a bunch of copies of that. Yeah, it just happens. Mm-hmm. Stephen Kopelkamp says, collecting is hoarding if you hurt yourself and the people around you. That's true. Unbleached says, you have 300 copies of 300? No, not quite. But sometimes I see those people who like want to collect like every copy of Jerry Maguire on VHS, and they have rooms full of VHS and Titanic, and they have rooms, and I don't know, they're just doing it for fun. And literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of copies of VHS
so it's
Titanic.
A different variety. It's just like literally the same same exact copies.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's quirky, I guess.
Yeah. Sergeant's Uncle, did you buy dupes of Blu-rays on accident? It has certainly happened. We have an app that we catalog all of our movies because there's no way you can possibly remember. When your collection gets to a certain point, there's just no way you remember what you have anymore. And it's the same thing with video games. I have it all cataloged, and that way you avoid buying dupes, seconds, doubles. Yeah.
But in like lots, like.
When you're buying a lot, sometimes
you end up with multiple.
Yeah. Devin Hertz says, you were raised by the comic and Beanie Babies. It's going to be worth something someday mantra. I was definitely raised in the... I wasn't a Beanie Baby guy. My sister liked the Beanie Babies. She didn't have too many, but I was in that comic book trading card era, and we were all told it was all going to be worth millions. You buy this copy of Superman is dead, and that you're going to retire on that one. And I think there's probably a good amount of you in the audience right now who, like me, still have that copy sealed, brand new, never touched. I definitely do. And I was the kind of guy who would buy 2 comics. One to read, yes. One to keep it in the package, because that is my retirement, baby. Turns out, worthless.
I bet a lot of a little younger people than us, a lot of you probably have sneakers with that kind of attitude.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely, when I got introduced into sneakers, I had that mentality. One to rock, one to stock. Yeah. But when I was buying like 4 issues of issue 0, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I really like every comic book release I'd spend like, how many variants can you 3 variants and a holofoil? Oh, I got to buy them all. Got to get every single one of those. That's important. I'm like, man. Anyways, I got tired of that after a while. It took a long time. I mean, I think with a lot of things because I say it sucked the joy out of it. I like the I like the comics, but here I was buying all this stuff, and then you have to store it, and forget it. I can't find that issue. I'm stressing. I gotta go on eBay. I gotta find it. Sorry, I found other hobbies that were less stressful.
But yeah, I entirely understand about like having to take care of it. Like my plants are like literally the problem that I have now. It's just like small plants are like so cheap unless they're like really rare kind.
Yeah.
Like small plants are like so cheap and they're so cute. And then you feel like you can grow it to be bigger, and then instead of spending like hundreds of dollars on a big tree, you can grow it from like 600 yen pot for it to become a $300, $400, $500 tree.
speaking of expensive plants, this thing, if you can see it, anybody care to guess how much that cost? I want to give you guys a minute. This is just another similar picture, and then I think I have another angle of it. Where did it go? Here it is. That right there. That's the other angle, so you can see how thick it is. All right, guys, you have 10 seconds here to give me a guess on how much you think that miniature tree.
I'm just going to wrap up my story while you do that, because so it's just like, there was a time that like I was like so enamored by that idea of like, this is my hobby, like I'm gonna buy it cheap and make it into an expensive tree. It's gonna take years and years, and there's so many small plants to take care of that I constantly kill because there's too many. And that then I just like I might as well buy big trees for a lot more money, because like somebody said, time is money, and also it's just bigger trees don't die so easily.
Yeah, that's it. So anyhow, I encourage it. Risa has a nice plant collection.
Yeah, but I really need to, I had the whole like, circle of like getting excited about something that new that I'm getting into, and then just coming
the stress
down
of
on, like, okay, I need to manage it.
Yeah. Okay, so that plant that you saw there, Devon Hurt is the closest one, $15,000. That plant was 16 million yen. Crazy, unbelievable. And I sent it to that picture to a friend of mine he's like a big plant nerd, and he's like, I've never seen one like that big before. And he's like, he knew that it was gonna like be mega expensive because that's like a rare plant, and he's like, it's like, that thing's huge.
We were talking about it there. It's just like, there's no way that they actually
that's not
on selling that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come into a plant store and it's like, oh, I'm gonna take that.
Yeah. Like, it was next to, they had like, that section had a lot of like rare and exotic plants, and like there was stuff in there for like a couple thousand and things like that, but that thing was like the crown jewel.
Yeah.
And anyways, I ended up with this guy. Oh, check this out. I had to buy it. It was not expensive.
You never buy plants.
I never buy plants, but this thing is cool.
It is cool.
And like, got this really cool pot for it. Really weird looking, evil looking cactus. Some kind of cactus. I don't know. Take a look at that. So there we go. That's my new pet plant that Reese is going to take care of.
The good thing about that kind of plant is that it's almost impossible to kill that.
Yeah. It just needs a lot of light, apparently. Okay. J Man says, I was interested into getting into bonsai trees. Then I looked at the prices and I said, nope. LOL. Yeah, it's I think you can get into it for not a lot of money, but again, like any hobby, it grows, right? And that's sort of the thing. And I think, again, maybe this goes full circle back to like, premium sweatshirts, premium t-shirts. It's just like, you can do anything. You can get into it. Even getting into like premium t-shirts, you can get into it for, 40, 50, 60 bucks. Mm-hmm. And then once you get a taste for things, that's when you're like, I can spend a little bit more. I can spend a little bit more. And then, you end up where you end up. Yeah. BD says, I started learning MTG playing online. I'm not sure what MTG is. I do not want to be a hyper-focus. Miss and I are learning with starter sets IRL. Looking into it, people can drop some real dough on that. I'm sort of learning MTG playing online. I'm not sure what MTG is, but you might have to tell me. Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Magic cards.
Never even heard of it.
It's like, it was like the first card game.
Really? Oh.
I don't know if it was literally the first, but like when I was a kid, there was Magic. Like people were playing Magic cards like when I was a kid. I never got into it. I had friends who were into it. I was into Marvel Overpower cards, okay?
You were better than the TG kids.
I felt like I'm gonna say it's gonna sound bad, but I felt like they were like, as a nerd, I was like, whoa, that's really like wizards and stuff wasn't for me. I was like, that's really nerdy. I'm into comic books, okay? Wolverine and Deadpool, like, let's go.
To
like,
be fair,
yeah.
those things are mainstream now.
Yeah,
so.
but I felt like there was a divide. Like, you know, it's kind of like the Star Trek, Star Wars fans. Like, there was a divide there, and I'm like, if you were into like Battlestar Galactica or like Stargate, I was like, oh, that's way too nerdy for me. But yeah, Evan says, I was more of a Pokemon kid in the late 90s. Yeah, by the time the late 90s rolled around, I was playing Pokemon on my Game Boy. I really liked Pokemon games on Game Boy, but I never got into the cards.
Yeah.
I never got into the cards. I never even bought a single pack of Pokemon cards. My nephew now, he likes them, but I'll probably buy some stuff for him. But I've yet to buy a Pokemon card in my life. Mm-hmm. I've never done it. Yeah. BD says, it's neat, but I see how people can get in deep. Just speaking into that slippery slope people fall into. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, just like anything, know your limit and play within it.
But also, like, online things, you can just kind of get into it easily, I think, because it's not tangible. Like, it's your house is not crowded.
Yeah. Maybe that's also a nice way to think about it. Like, I like, sometimes I think about, I collect a lot of, this takes up a lot of space, magazines. I have a lot of magazines. And I wish that there was a way that I could have all of them on just an iPad at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there is a way.
But some of these magazines are old. Like,
right.
There's no digital version of this thing.
Perhaps.
Yeah. But I like having it because I like flipping through the pages and I enjoy it. But yeah, at some point I just you know,
takes up too much space.
And then I can search for things.
Right, that would be nice. I always felt that, and I always, like, when I was younger, my thing was that, like, I always wanted to, like, do a what do you call it, like, kind of like scrapbooking of like the things,
best articles,
best pictures, best things that I wanted to remember from magazines into like my curation book. And I never was. I've started like maybe 2 pages was the most I could do. It's impossible. It is very difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some collecting and I guess going down slippery slopes for people. I want to end this live stream with a little update on Yokohama office. Mm-hmm. Because that was another big topic we talked about in the newsletter, which of course I know all of you guys are subscribed to.
Yeah.
So we have some updates. Kind of.
Yes. Well, we have officially applied to a place that we looked at it a while ago, and we were just considering other options, blah blah blah, whatever. But I think now this is the only option we're thinking of, and I think we're in the talks, like, in terms of like the details of the contract. But if everything goes well, we will sign with them soon. The takeover, our real estate agent thinks that the earliest day that we can take over would be June 1st. And at that point, we have to get a renovation company in to work on the interior a little bit. It's actually like pretty good except for the flooring.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out the layout and then the furniture and all that stuff. So that could take a little bit. So I think Bezat said earliest maybe August.
Yeah.
For like in terms of like being able to have people come in visit us. Which I think seems like a decent timeline sometime in August.
Yeah, so long as the flooring gets done quick.
Yeah, I think that's sort of that's all. Because we never really renovated an office before, so I don't know. And
I just know that the words renovation and quick are usually not put in the same sentence unless there's the word not in between them. So anyways, we gotta cross our fingers on that one, but.
Yeah, but this place is is brand new. Basically, the building is very new, and so it's not like old and charming and things that we liked in that neighborhood.
It's adjacent to a lot of it, yeah.
But it's very like opposite of that in terms of like the building and the unit itself.
Yeah.
But it is a spacious place where we can store a lot of things. It is quite convenient because it's like literally like like from at the closest station you just go up to the exit and you're like literally like around the corner. So like it's easy to get to once you're on the train. And that neighborhood is absolutely beautiful. We talked about it a lot in the past few weeks, but it's just like the surroundings is so nice that even though we're not in Tokyo, we're not like mostly super conveniently located for people who are traveling to Japan, perhaps, but it's worth a visit. And I think that was the point, that we're not going to be like in middle of Ginza or like Harajuku or whatever. Then it's the next best thing is that we will be somewhere where like if you guys come,
it's going to be worth the visit.
Other than our office.
Yeah, there's a lot around there. So there's some beautiful like seaside scenery. There's like an amusement park, some great shopping malls. There's Chinatown. There's a lot to do there. So fingers crossed, everything works out. We'll get the renovation done quick. We just right now it's like the office-y carpet on the ground, and we want to put some hardwood floor in there just to give it a little bit more of a rustic feel. Then we just got to get some more rolling racks, some furniture. Like it's not going to be like
it's not going to be full on like really like perfect presentation at least for a while. We would just patch things up and just go. I think the more important thing about this place is that the space to hold inventory and also just space to be open to people who are visiting
Japan. Yeah.
So not to downgrade before we even get started, but it is not to show off how the world of Wonder Loop or anything like that.
It'll be it's not quite a retail store.
Right.
It's maybe one day we'll open a full on retail store and like have a interior designer make it all nice.
Yeah.
But let's I don't want to blow the budget here. I like moving in baby steps, and like the important things are that we actually just first the most important thing is to have the space. And I know that it's mostly going to be for tourists. And let's be real. Like, while we do get emails practically every day, where can I buy your stuff? I'm coming to Japan. Where can I buy your stuff? That kind of stuff. I don't think we're gonna have 10 customers a day in there. So it's not. It's maybe out of all those emails, maybe only a quarter of you are actually going to show up. So like I know it's not going to be that packed in terms of like having a place for you to shop, but I want you to be able to come somewhere where you can shop as much as the collection as we have. But mostly. We know we need a big space because we need to pick, pack, and process orders. And right now we're doing it out of a shoebox, and it just it's not. Next season it will be impossible. So we just got to.
This season it was not possible. We just got lucky with like extra space, renting extra space.
So anyhow, we'll once it's all up and running. We'll have some photos and all that stuff. Maybe even as we're renovating, we'll give you some updates there. But first things first, we got to get that contract signed, and hopefully they come back to us with some positivity, because that's all that we spew here. We spew positivity. And
I'm pretty sure by the next live stream we can say one way or the other.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So keep your fingers crossed for us on that one, because it's been a long time. We started like last November. Like it's been a while.
That was when like we actually started like going to places to look at things, but we've been thinking about it for a long time.
Back then, I thought it was gonna be like this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Anything that's open.
I thought it was up to us.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was up to us.
Yeah. Stephen Kolbekamp says, if I ever go to Japan, I will find you wherever you two are. But not in a creepy way. Well, I appreciate that. But you should come to Japan. It is the best time ever to come to Japan. The yen is not very strong. Come here, shop. It's in all my I've been coming to Japan. I live here, but before I lived here, I used to come here a lot, and I would just see how much progressively it got easier and easier and easier for people to come and visit Japan. It's so easy to come here. If you don't speak a lick of Japanese, it's still super easy to come here. Everything's so convenient. You can go into restaurants. You could just order on the tablets. They got English menus. Everything is going to be so convenient for you. It's not a cash society like it used to be before. You could use your credit cards everywhere, pretty much. Come. Get on the next flight. Stanny B says the first stop in Japan for me is the Muscle Girl Bar. I've seen those videos. I've not been, but I've had some friends who are like, "Yo, I want to go," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And like for people who don't know what that is, it's like literally a bar where all the girls are jacked, and they'll make you drinks, and like you want some lemon in there, they put the lemon in there, squeeze it, and the lemon goes. It's kind of funny, they'll do push-up contests with you, and there's also the muscle man bar, and there's all muscle dudes, and like
because girls bar in general is a very common thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like this is more of like a niche. You know.
It's like so there's girls bars, just
general girls bar.
Yeah. And that is like there's like cute girls who work at the bar. And they
serve you drink and talk
chat
to you.
with you.
It's like a step
down,
more casual from like the hostess bar
club,
where the hostess are like dressed up to the nine, like
ballroom
dresses, and like they sit down and talk.
They're your date for the allotted time.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like girls bar is a little bit more casual. Girls are serving you drinks. Like they're like more of like in the same. And then there's Maid Cafe.
Yeah, Maid Cafe is like the nerd version of that, where instead of serving you alcoholic drinks, they're all in like French maid outfits, and they're serving you cake and tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they're telling you...
I'm sure they can serve alcohol.
Maybe they do.
I don't know.
But it's a little bit more anime. If you love anime, that's the place for you. And like I would say that the girls there are maybe more normal, whereas like... I would say girls' bar, the girls are a little bit more dressed up, and at a hostess club, maybe that's like really high class girls. That's sort of my perception.
The hostess club is just there's like the top one and there's the bottom one, so like there's just all levels. But I've never been to girls' bar, so like I can't really speak to that. But I feel like girls' bar maybe a little bit more like. Flirtatious, whereas Maid Cafe, I from what I understand, is more like, they're just role playing.
Yeah,
so they're like
they're your French cute French maid.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's Japan. But yeah, there's muscle girl bars. There's muscle man bars.
There must be all kinds of things like that.
There's all kinds of.
We're not the experts.
Yeah, I'm not into it as much, but yeah, the muscle girl bar. I've seen the videos. I'm like that looks like a fun place to take somebody.
But even Maid Cafe, like I've personally never been to one, but like when you walk down the street of Akihabara, where all the maids are like catching you on the street, like there's so many different kinds. Like there are more traditional maid people, but also they're like cosplay girls.
Oh yeah,
they're more like they look like they're monster hunters or like, goth or
or like an army girl or they have every flavor of that. So if you're into like anime and fantasy and that kind of stuff, then there's one for you. But every time I walk down the street in Akihabara, I'm just like, don't go. Just like, you'll see a guy who's like talking to the girl, like, it's a trap. Chris Hansen's waiting for you, man. Don't go.
They do look like they're 14.
They look really young. They probably aren't, but they look really, really young. Nicholas Vilpu says, I had a friend who always wanted to drag me to a hostess bar. I never really got the appeal. Yeah.
It's awkward if you don't enjoy that. Like,
Yeah.
I went, just kind of dragged along, and it was, like, so awkward. It was
Yeah.
just like...
I went to a hostess bar once with Brandon and the Momotaro guys.
That's also
It was in, like, countryside Japan. And it was funny because... Okay, this is going to sound bad, but... So, this... Every country's got their red light district stuff, right? And so we were countryside Japan, and like in order to find a hostess bar, we had to go to like this corner, like hole in the wall type. It wasn't a shop, but it was like maybe an agent, right? And like if you go there, whatever you're looking for, that's the guy he's gonna call, and he's gonna arrange it for you. So if you want after evening activities, he's gonna call the place and he's gonna get you in, but he's basically vetting everybody.
I see. Yeah.
So we had to go there first, and he's like, okay, what do you guys want? And like, so he's like, we just want to go to a hostess bar. He's like, okay, let me call. He's like, you got 2 foreigners with you? No. Okay, go. And he's like, calls one place, like, go over here. So we go, and then anyhow, it was just like, you go in, and I forget how it was, but I don't think we picked any of the girls. I think they just, here are the ones for you. And we all got one girl, and we're just drinking.
One girl for...
Each of us. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
We all got one girl each. And
That's
I think
how
there
it
was 4 or
works,
5 of us. And my girl doesn't speak English, and Brandon's girl doesn't speak English. We're just talking, and it's like you pay by the hour, and that's all you can drink. And me, I don't drink. So the girl is just like, I don't know what to do with you. Like, do you smoke? Do you drink? Like, how old are you? Are you even allowed to be here? Like, so it was just a weird experience. I only went once.
Yeah, I always find it funny that, like, that's where, like, you take your, like, business clients to.
Yeah,
it's like
very Japanese thing.
Yeah, but it's just such a, like, it's a very, like, intimate thing for just random business clients to go with. I don't know. I just feel it's awkward. Like, you don't want to, like... Okay, one thing to get drunk in front of, like, a business people, because, like, I see a point in that. It's just, like, you're kind of more friendly, whatever. But, like, talking to, like, cute girls, like, in front of a class, like, that's weird.
A little weird. And so I remember early in, like, first times visiting Asia, me and Brandon, and it was just, like, everywhere we went, everyone was like, girls, you want girls, and we're just like, no, like, all right. So we were at the club. Okay, we're done with the club. He's like, all right, you guys want to go get some massages? And we're like
real
we're like
massages,
it's 2:00 in the morning.
Oh,
we're like, we're like, no, we want to go back to the hotel and go to sleep. We're not interested in that. They just felt like, okay, you're coming here, I'm gonna make sure you have I understand what they were trying to do.
Right.
Maybe it was a little bit more. Practice. Yeah.
Probably a little bit tail end of that business practice. I don't think it's the same now.
No,
like, obviously there were people who still work in that, like, still work in that kind of, like, just everybody does that for each other kind of things. But I feel like most of the fashion business have moved out. Maybe.
I remember in just one time we were in... I'm not gonna say which country because I don't want to, But we went, and like it was funny because like we're all on this business trip, and like normal stuff, dinners and things like that, and like the friend of the owner, I guess he took it upon himself to make sure we were having a good time, and like I just remember like it was like we got there in the evening, and he's like, okay guys, what kind of girls do you like? And we're like, oh no, we're good. He's like. And then he looks at his watch. He's like, yeah, it's pretty late. It's gonna be like hard to arrange right now. So he's like, just tell me tomorrow, okay? And I'll arrange everything. Just And like the next day, we see like this guy at breakfast, maybe brunch, and he's like, guys, like,
you have to tell
hurry up! You need to tell me what you want because like I need to arrange this. And we're just like, no, we're good. We're just. But you could tell he was so like eager, like, hey man, I want to make sure you have a good time. I was like, chill out. So it's all good.
It's so weird.
Somebody, it was funny because the other day I saw like an Instagram where somebody explained that Hooters in America is like an American-made cafe, and I'm like, totally is. It totally is. It's so anyhow. Also,
Maybe.
Hooters once had an airline. Fun fact. Look it up. All right, everybody. I think we've had enough fun and games here.
The entire live stream was
A lot of random tangents here.
yeah.
But you know what? That's what you get with the naked, with the Wonder Looper. A lot of my mind's all over the place. With the Wonder Looper live stream, you got a little bit of what's going on here. You get some random Japan talk, tangents, you name it. We're going to talk about it. It's just a lot of fun hangout stuff with me, Risa, sometimes Snowy, and all of you guys. We don't have a snack time set up for today.
Sorry, I couldn't find anything interesting.
Yeah, but we'll be back again next week. Same time, same channel. You got a last thing to say?
Yes, if you haven't filled out the survey that we sent out about Super Looper shorts versus sweatpants, please do.
Yeah, please do. It's in the description below and in the last newsletter if you haven't read that yet.
Make your vote count.
That's it. And we'll see you guys again next week. Do something nice for yourselves and do something nice for somebody else. We'll see you guys again real soon. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.